I never thought my marriage would turn into a routine of distant conversations and cold dinners when I married my husband. I believed in love, in companionship, in a partnership that would last. But over time, he became a shadow in our home, always working. Late, too tired for anything more than a abstracted nod or a half-hearted, "How was your day?" It felt like I was living with a stranger, someone who had checked out long ago but still shared my bed. Then there was him, my stepson, 18, now taller than his father, with a presence that filled the room in a way my husband never did. He had always been polite, respectful, but lately something had changed, or maybe I had just started. Noticing him differently, his confidence, the way he moved, the way he looked at me, not with indifference like his father, but with something else, something curious, something dangerous. I told myself it was nothing, just my mind playing tricks on me, searching for attention in a place it didn't belong. But small moments started standing out, the way he lingered in conversations, how his eyes held mine for a second too long, the casual, almost teasing remarks that made my stomach tight and I wasn't imagining it. One evening my husband came home late again. I sat at the dining table pushing around, the remains of my dinner, pretending not to carry. My stepson walked in fresh out of the shower. A towel slung low around his waist, dripping water onto the floor. I looked up, startled, my breath catching for just a second. He smirked, not in an arrogant way, but like he knew something. "Didn't you okay?" he asked. Grabbing a bottle of water from the fridge, I nodded, quickly dropping my gaze, just tired. He leaned against the counter, watching my dad's late again. I forced a smile. "Yeah, work," he chuckled, shaking. His head always working. There was something in his voice, amusement, understanding, sympathy. I didn't know, but it unsettled me. Or maybe it thrilled me that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My husband asleep, beside me, oblivious. My mind replayed that moment in the kitchen, the way he stood there, confident, comfortable. He wasn't a child anymore. That fact settled in my chest like a weight I couldn't ignore. The days passed, and the air between us thickened with something unspoken. He would brush past me in the hallway, just close enough that I could feel the warmth of his skin, a touch on my back. Fleeting but deliberate, an inside joke whispered under his breath, making me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. I should have stopped it, then walked away, drawn. The line reminded myself who I was, who he was, but I didn't, because for the first time in years, I felt seen, and I wasn't ready to let that go. I told myself it was harmless, just attention, nothing more, but the more I ignored it, the more obvious it became. His stares weren't accidental, his touches weren't casual. He was testing me, seeing how far he could push before it pulled away. The worst part didn't. One evening, I walked past the bathroom and heard the water running. The door was slightly open, steam spilling out. I should have kept walking instead. I glanced in just for a second. His back was to me, broad droplets of water sliding down his skin. I swallowed hard, my face burning, and turned away quickly, but not quickly enough. "You spying on me?" Now his voice was teasing. Amused, my heart pounded. The door was open. It chuckled. "You could have knocked." I forced a laugh, shaking my head as I walked away, but I could still feel his eyes on me later that night. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not just the sight of him, but the way he spoke to him, like we shared some unspoken secret. The next day, I was in the kitchen when he walked in fresh out of the shower again, the scent of his soap still lingering in the air. He leaned against the counter, watching me like he was waiting for something. "You're quiet today," he said. I shrugged, just thinking about what his voice was. Smooth, teasing, pushing. I shook my head, refusing to engage, but he didn't let it go. "You looked last night," he said, lowering his voice. My stomach tightened. I did not have smirked. "It's okay, I don't mind." I turned to face him, fully ready to shut this down. But when I met his eyes, I couldn't find the words. He wasn't a kid. He wasn't oblivious. He knew exactly what he was doing, and I was letting him. That night, I went to shower, desperate to clear my head. I turned on the water, let the steam fill the room, hoping it would wash away the thoughts that had been consuming. Methan, the door opened. I froze. His voice was calm, steady. Relax. It's just me. Should have told him to leave. Should have been angry, but I wasn't. I stood, their heart racing, waiting. Then I felt him too close, the heat of his body just behind me. My breath hitched. I know you feel it too, he whispered. I closed my yes. This was the moment, the last chance to walk away, but I didn't move because he was right. I felt it, and I wasn't sure. I wanted it to stop. The air was thick, with something I couldn't name, something dangerous. My heart pounded. As I stood there, feeling his presence behind me, the warmth of his breath. Too close, too intimate, every rational thought screamed at me to step away, to stop this before it went any further. But I stayed. Second, stretched between us, the silence louder than any words. My pulse hammered in my ears as I turned slightly, just enough to meet his gaze. His expression wasn't hesitant, wasn't unsure. He knew exactly what he was doing, exactly what he wanted. The question was, did I? A shaky breathe escaped me as he reached out, fingers trailing over my wrist. Slow, deliberate. I could have pulled away. I should have, but I didn't. My skin burned where he touched me, an ache settling deep in my stomach. This is wrong, wrong, I whispered, more to myself than to him. His lips, barely, curved, then tell me to stop. Opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My body betrayed me, leaning in when he should have stepped back. His hand moved to my waist, firm yet gentle, pulling me closer until the space between us disappeared. Every thought of my husband, of morality, of consequences faded into the background. There was only this moment, this feeling, this need. I hadn't allowed myself to acknowledge until now. My breath caught as he tilted his head, eyes dark, waiting for me to make the final decision. And I did. I let go. The world outside that room ceased to exist. There were no consequences, no guilt, only the press of his skin against mine, the heat, the way my body responded, as if this had been inevitable all along. Time blurred reality, distorting around, use every touch, every whispered breath, pulled me deeper into something I couldn't control. I knew this was a mistake, one that couldn't be undone, but for the first time in years I felt alive. When it was over, the weight of what had just happened settled over me like a suffocating fog. I sat there staring at nothing, my pulse still racing. He watched me, unreadable, as if waiting for regret to take hold. But I didn't feel regret, not yet. Instead, I felt something far more dangerous. I wanted more of the weight. It didn't hit me right away. In the quiet after, with my skin still warm and my breath still uneven, the world outside that moment felt distant, almost unreal. But as the haze cleared, reality crept in, sharp and unforgiving. I'd done. It crossed the line. There was no taking it back. He lay beside me, watching, waiting, not for an apology, not for regret, just to see what I would do next. But I didn't move. I couldn't. If I left, if I spoke, it would become real. I finally forced myself to sit up, wrapping my arms around myself, as if that would somehow protect me from the storm brewing inside. My mind raced, piecing together the consequences, the risks, the inevitable fallout. Then he spoke. Are you going to pretend this didn't happen? I swallowed hard. I don't know. His gaze was steady, unreadable. You don't regret it. I wanted to deny it to both of us. But we both knew the truth. I had wanted this. Maybe not in words, not in conscious thought, but in the way I let every moment lead to this, in the way I never truly resisted. I exhaled, shaking my head. This can't happen again. Arg didn't push. Just studied me like he knew I didn't believe my own words, and maybe I didn't. The next day I avoided him, kept my distance, buried myself in routines that suddenly felt hollow. My husband was home that evening, oblivious, kissing my cheek in a way that felt foreign, like an afterthought. I sat through dinner listening to him talk about work, nodding at the right moments, pretending to be the wife he thought I was, but across the table my stepson met. My eyes just for a second, long enough to send a shiver down my spine, long enough to remind me that what happened wasn't gone, wasn't erased. It was still there, simmering beneath the surface. Waiting days passed, and I kept telling myself I was in control, that it was over, that I could forget. But every time I walked past him, every time our hands brushed by accident, or maybe not by accident, the truth stared back at me. It wasn't over. It had only just begun.